Okay, we want to go through the change management process, specifically the change requests here. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to come into our project dashboard here. And if we open up our settings tab and go into the add-ons and markups, you can see that we have the ability to set up defaults. So I'm going to go ahead and edit this. We built a lot of flexibility into how these markups actually work, but I'll create a new one here. And here's the ones that we've pre-created. But I'm just going to click create and edit here, and let's just call it contractor's fee. And if it's going to be associated with a change request, we need to make sure that we select the change request here. We also use this for estimating and for a bunch of other things inside of the system. So you need to make sure to make it available on change request, select it here. I'm just going to do fee as the code. Also, in order to create a new line on the contract change order, we need to make sure that we're associating it to a product right here. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to select the fee. And let's see what we have. Contractors fee. Here's a fee right here. Okay. Okay, so now we have a whole bunch of ways of calculating this. We can put a fixed amount, or we can do a percentage, or we can even use code to create what it's supposed to be. I'm just going to say that this is going to be, 5% and save this. Percentage will be based on whatever. I don't even need to save this because the insurance one is already set up. But this, you get the idea of how we're going to set these up ahead of time. So we'll discard this. And then as you create a project or a company, we can create these defaults so they'll automatically show up right here. So here you can see we have one insurance. It's a 10% markup. So now we're going to go through and create a new change request. So let me back up, make sure I do this nice and clear. There's the change request smart button. So we're going to go ahead and click on that and then click the button to create a change request. What this is really showing is a listing of all of the lines on all of the change requests, and then it's grouped by change request. So here we're going to create a new form, and let's call it the Rudic Demo CR. Our project's going to pre-fill here. There's our prime contract, so we can fill in some of the details of this. This is going to let us know whether this should be billed separately or should this be merged in as a change order to the existing lines on the contract. So in our case, we want it to be billed separately. Depending on how you select this is going to determine what lines are showing up or what is available here. So if we have bill separately, then we come in here, we want to be able to select anything that we want because it doesn't really matter about the contract. Everything is going to be essentially a little separate contract. So we would select all of the items and create this change order here. If we take that off and it's not billed separately, then when we come in, we would only see the items that are available on the contract because we're not billing it separately. We're combining it into something that's already on the contract. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this in here. So let's put in, actually, let's leave this off and let's put in an item. Let's delete this one and put in any item. Doesn't really matter at this point. So we have our quantity, our unit price, and we'll say the cost is $2,500. You can see down here, we have a markup on it already of 10%. So it threw that 10% markup on it and then gave us a price of $27.50 here. So we can come through and we can add in additional items, as we put in, it will automatically pre-fill with the markups, and then we can come in and we can add the vendors that we want that will do this particular work. So down below, what we have now is we have the total cost, which is this. We have a total markups, which is essentially the result of all of these, and we'll put this in this field too. It actually does go in there if we hit the calculate button. So we'll put that markup in here, and then there is our total for this particular change request. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to approve and confirm this particular change request. It's just a change request at this point. So in order to create a change order, we'll come back to the change request tree view and we'll look at the change request that I made. So here is the change request, and here's all of the 3 items. It looks like I put an extra one on here that's not important. But here we can see the costs and the prices and all of the details that are related to these items. I could select these, or I could also put in something from another change order that anything that I wanted. Actually, looking at this, and we need to make this a little bit more obvious, these are already associated to a change order. So we don't want to add them again to another change order, and we'll have to try to account for that to make it easier to know. Anyway, so I'm going to select these 2 items, going to go to action, create a PCO. Now, if I go into my office building project, go to my PCOs, there's my Rudic demo change request, and it's put in those items. So there's my solicitation, my available information, which were the line items, and here's my markup line item that I'll put on there. So there's my total change order that is ready to go through the workflow process like any change order. So it's going to go through a pending and approved and send it out to the customer and go through that whole process. We're going to manage the subcontracts in exactly the same way. So if we come over here and we go to our change requests, we look at all of these items right here. We can see from here whether they have been associated to a PCO or not. So here we can see the PCO has been filled in. They're on PCO number 34 and 33. They have not, however, been included to any subcontracts. So we could go through and we want to filter this by vendor, and we'll have to kind of build this in. Let's see what we got here. Let's actually group it by vendor and apply. All right, so now I can see that here's all of the items, change request items that I have specified or tagged for Hindsight Technologies. I want to select those, action, and create a subcontract. You notice that it can't create a subcontract without the analytic account on there. We didn't approve the PCO, so we don't have any analytic accounts in here. Had we done that, you just hit that, create subcontract, and it will create that subcontract to Hindsight Technologies. So I think we're getting really close. Just going through this little exercise right here, there's a few things that I want to do to kind of clean it up a little bit, make it a little bit more obvious, a little bit more user-friendly. And we'll release it out to you guys and start playing with it and see how it works in the real world. Anyway, hope it works.